If you're using a low-cost GPS dog collar to try and effectively contain your dog, there is a reasonable chance that it may fail when it matters most, and we have the testing and data to back that up. We also have a discount code in the description below that it gives you an exclusive discount on our top pick for the best GPS dog collar. That's in the description below, and full disclosure, it also helps support the channel at no extra cost to you, so we appreciate that. Now, I would love to live in a world where I could tell you that there are a bunch of different GPS dog collars at a bunch of different price points that all basically work about the same. And you can just decide between some of these extra differentiating features and what's going to be best in your price point, and you could go along your merry way. Unfortunately, that's not the world we live in right now. While some of the collars do have features that aren't offered in others, what we're really looking at is the GPS containment feature. That's the main sell of this. Can it create a boundary and then have that collar effectively enforce that boundary 100% of the time? When you buy a collar, which main purpose is to effectively contain your dog within an area, that's the thing that we are testing and evaluating this on the most, not which charges the fastest or has the best battery life or looks the best. Frankly, none of that stuff matters if the main containment feature doesn't work as good as it possibly can. We, a team, myself, and a few other people scattered across the country, are constantly testing all of the main names in the GPS containment game. We test them pretty rigorously in a bunch of different conditions, specifically in areas where GPS signal may not be the best. Let me tell you, there are some products on the market that just flat out don't work. There's really only one collar out there that every single time we have gone out and tested it, it has worked as it's supposed to 100% of the time. Now, I will say the most recent Halo model comes close. It worked perfectly in terms of containment with the final warning, but some of the approaching warnings did get missed a little bit. Now, that's still a 100% score on the ultimate containment buzzer, but again, we're not comparing 98% to 100%. We're talking pass-fail. If this is something that I cannot say with complete certainty is going to work 100% of the time based on mine and my team's testing, I'm not going to recommend it for you and your dog. So right now, that does mean that the best out there is just SpotOn. It's the only collar that we've tested every single time. All of the warnings and all of the buzzes come through exactly when they're supposed to. Now, one glance at the SpotOn price tag might have your eyes rolling out of your head, which they definitely did for me. I mean, $1,000 to drop on a collar is, to my knowledge, the most expensive collar on the market. Now, there's two things to remember with that. Number one, there is a discount link in the description below to save you at least a little bit of money on that $1,000 price tag. Number two, just about every other GPS dog collar out there require you to be locked into a subscription in order for the basic functionality of the collar to work. So even if you drop, $500 on a collar, you're going to be spending month over month, year over year, and they are allowed to change both what is included in that subscription and how much you're going to be paying for it month over month. I know for me, I get an email what feels like every month from Netflix saying, hey, we're going to charge you $1 more a month. You're just paying a little bit more. So you may find a cheaper collar is really just spreading out the cost of an inferior collar, because SpotOn doesn't do that. They don't lock you into subscription. If you pay the $1,000 up front, what you get is unlimited fences for as long as the collar is functioning, which based on the ones we've tested is a pretty dang long time. So you may find yourself better off buying the better collar and spending the money up front as opposed to potentially spending more money year over year for something that, again, according to our testing, won't work as well. Let's dig a little deeper with SpotOn. First, setup is shockingly easy. You can just walk the perimeter of your intended boundary on your property line, and it will do all of the work for you. You just have your phone and the collar, and it makes the boundary as you walk. As simple as it really can be, just like 20 minutes of walking, depending on how big your property is. Here's another thing I really appreciate. You can create multiple fences. So your house, and let's say you have a cabin, or maybe there's a large dog park or nature preserve that you take your dog to, or even, your parents' house when you bring your dog over. You can create as many fences as you want, and you can switch between them really easily within the app. Now, let's talk about the collar itself. It is super well built. It is waterproof, which living in the land of snow and mud is super helpful. Poppy can roll around in the mud and the snow without me worrying about the collar going, berserk. Then the battery life is solid too. We're talking multiple days of use on a single charge, depending on how active your dog is. And charging it is super easy. You just put it on the magnetic charger. You don't have to fumble with ports or anything like that. It charges up to a full charge in like an hour. One of the cooler features that they've added recently is custom voice commands, where you can actually record your own voice giving your dog commands, saying your dog's name, calling them back to the house. So if you see your dog approaching something that, maybe it's within a boundary, but you don't want them getting into, you can just trigger a command from your phone to have your dog come back. They also just rolled out activity monitoring and heat maps, so you can see how active your dog is and where they're spending most of their time. And the training process with SpotOn is really straightforward and very well thought out. They have this whole system that slowly introduces your dog to the tones and the vibration, and then finally static correction if they meet the boundary. And if you want to, you have full control over all of the settings and their intensities and volumes within the app itself. Now, getting into the app, it's very straightforward and easy to use. They have clearly put thought into how the end user is going to experience everything. Now, I know some of you are probably wondering, what about customer support? Because if you're spending this much on a collar, if something goes wrong, you better have somebody to talk to in order to fix it. And I'm happy to report SpotOn's customer service has done a very good job in our testing. They're available, they know their stuff, you can tell they're not just reading from a script, and if we've come to them with any problems, they have been able to help us through it over the phone. Look, at the end of the day, we're talking about the safety of your dog. For me, that's not something that I'm willing to compromise in order to save a few dollars. I've tested all the major players out there and intentionally tested them in spaces where most collars would fail, and the SpotOn has worked every single time. SpotOn stands behind their product, and they have solid support that's there to help if anything does go wrong. If you want to check it out for yourself, head to that discount link in the description below. That will save you a decent chunk of change on what is admittedly a very expensive dog collar. If you've got any questions about SpotOn or any of its competitors that we've tested, drop them in the comments below. We will do our best to answer all of those. Thank you so much for watching. That is all we have for today. Hopefully we'll see you in the next video. You'll have to forgive Poppy. She's a little stressed. We got a cat today. They're not friends yet. They will be. They will be though. Cats just gotta warm up to Poppy.